This is episode 53 of Minipod with me, Dave Jacobs. No fluff, just good stuff in under 5 minutes. I'm a big fan of Thomas Merton. Many of you know of Thomas Merton. He was a writer, a poet, an anti-war and civil rights activist and monk. And he wrote in his journal on June 19th, 1966, "The most desperate illusion and the most common one is just to fling oneself into the mass that is in movement and be carried along with it, to be part of the stream of traffic going nowhere, but with a great sense of phony purpose. It is this that I revolt against." Now, I doubt that Merton was thinking of the church when he wrote this, but his words made me think of the church. By church, I don't mean our local congregations or the people who attend them. I'm thinking more of the trends that confront pastors, the mass movements and streams we're encouraged to step into. Consider this, if you will. Maybe think back the last 10 or 15 years. First, we began to hear about postmodernism and our need to redesign our churches to address this new cultural direction. By the time the church discovered postmodernism, it was already beginning to die out as a trend. But that's a whole other story. Postmodern churches began to spring up. A postmodern focus gave way to the emerging church, which was replaced by missional churches. While all of this was evolving, we began to hear more and more about the house church movement, which is now being eclipsed by its newborn child, simple church. I could go on and on with these different, streams, focus, that have evolved even from that point. I'm not against any of these movements per se. Each one, I think, is a legitimate expression of how one might choose to do church. What I am against, what I revolt against, is the message communicated by many, now not all, within these movements that says our model is the first century model. This is how the church is supposed to be. Our way is the future of the church. And then eventually they'll say, we can't continue to do church the way we always have. Now, if one is brave enough or stupid enough to ask, why not? Why can't we continue to do church as we always have? They will more than likely get, because church as we've always done it is not working. Usually the mass movement will define what working is, and they'll define it as a lack of church growth, or there are so few people coming to know Christ, or so little true discipleship taking place. Now, first of all, as we've always done it is working all over the place. There are plenty of examples of churches, as we've always done it, that aren't working. But the same could be said of postmodern churches, emerging churches, missional churches. Are they all working? Is every simple church or house church working? Second, one must seek a definition of working that is biblical, which of course every prominent and every movement believes they've already done this. Consider this. Is it possible that the reason why some churches are in decline or not growing has very little to do with the style they've embraced or not embraced? Could it be that churches find it difficult to win people to Christ and make genuine disciples simply because it's hard? If you've pastored longer than 3 months, you've discovered that it's hard. It's hard to win converts, to make followers of Jesus, to grow a church. It's hard regardless of the stream you step into or the movement you follow. It's hard. If it's been hard for very long, you begin to think, this is hard. This isn't working. What am I doing wrong? What is working? And as soon as you begin to think this way, some mass movement will sound pretty good. Maybe the answer isn't the latest hot trend in how to do church. Maybe the answer is, it's hard. Hey, if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and go visit my website, smallchurchpastor.com. There's a bunch of good stuff over there. I think you'll like it. This is Dave Jacobs of Small Church Pastor. See you next week.